Bring it on. Want some, get some.
Yes, I am a pirate.
You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything.
It's a pirate's life for me.
Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're a pirate.
It is a first down. Pirates.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there.
We will get Omaha. I can promise you that.
Red and purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
Yeah. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
Welcome in to the Pirate Football Playback here on the Sports Objective. We appreciate you tuning in whenever and however you're watching or listening, whether it's right now, live on YouTube and Facebook, or archived on either of those platforms. The Pirates are going bowling. They went out to Tulsa on Thursday night and were victorious 38-31 over the Golden Hurricane. Overcame 4 turnovers, 12 penalties, and a lot of things that they surely need to clean up as they move into the game with North Texas this week. But found a way in the fourth quarter, got some key defensive stops. Rahjai Harris ran for 2 touchdowns and 114 yards in the game. Caton Hauser threw for over 300 yards. And the Pirates still, did a lot of good things, but it was a game in which, they found a way to overcome a lot in order to earn a victory. But before we dive into the game a little bit further, welcome in, from LaGrange, Kyle Barber. Kyle, how are you?
What's going on, Bubba? Yeah, no, good win Saturday or Thursday night. Was a game where we tried everything we could to beat ourselves. Like you said, 4 turnovers, a penalty after penalty, touchdown called back. You have it at you had the touchdown called back that would put us up by 14. You had first and goal from the 1 and we fumble. I mean, just so many self-imposed wounds. And typically in the past, when you do that, you don't win, particularly on the road. And we found a way to win, down by 7 in the fourth quarter. Just think about it. Think about all the adversity we overcame. People we'll look at that game and go, well, we didn't play as well as we should. We were 14, 15-point favorites. But all that adversity, 4 turnovers, touchdown called back, fumble at the 1-yard line. You tied up, or you think you're about to tie it up in the fourth one. We missed a freaking extra point. The defense doesn't flinch, gets the ball back, and I do think we were trying to play for a field goal to take the lead. And Rahjai, of course, played the game of his life in the second half. Even with the called back touchdown. I mean, he was a man there at the end of that fourth quarter with the 2 touchdown rushes and then the 2-point conversion play. So I was proud to see the team overcome so much adversity, most of it self-imposed. And hats off to the coaching staff for holding the team together on the sideline instead of letting that one get away from them.
Now we'll welcome in former East Carolina linebacker from the Steve Logan era, Matt Semenza. Matt, how are you?
Guys, what a crazy game that was. I think of every Pirate game I've ever seen through the years, that might have been the most frustrating just throughout the game, because it just seems like for every one positive thing we did, we had 2 things go against us, whether, like Kyle said, it was self-inflicted or if it was the officials making horrendous calls. But you look at that game, you had Tulsa coming off of a bad loss and then had the bye week coming into that game. So they were going to be locked in. They were going to be sharp physically and mentally, and they were going to have a good game plan. And then you had East Carolina coming off a Thursday night game last week with, obviously less time to prepare. And I think that, Tulsa was at their best, and I think we were not at our best mentally. And it made for an interesting game. But, wow. What a frustrating one. It's the type of game you just want to get out of there with the W. And I'm glad we were able to do that, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, some great points there, Matt. As far as Tulsa's concerned, in their previous home game, they had rallied from a 28-point deficit against UTSA. Lagai, the quarterback that we saw the other night, at least to start the game and for a big percentage of the game, he had led that comeback against the Roadrunners. Then they went on the road and got absolutely manhandled by UAB down in Birmingham. So you knew 3-6 bowl eligibility on the line, for the Golden Hurricane, and I believe perhaps it was senior night. I can't recall, but they, like you're saying, there was a lot that made you think that they're going to have a very motivated, focused effort, and we certainly saw that early. And they got off to the 3-0 lead, and we're on the verge of making it 10-0. But fortunately, we were able to come up with a big stop there, and you went from looking at a 10-0 deficit to taking the lead that we did, and then we had the chance to extend the lead even further, and then we turned the ball over there inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, no, it was a comedy of errors, if you will, on both sides of the ball there for a while. Momentum back and forth, and like you said, whether it be self-inflicted or terrible calls by the officials, we couldn't seize momentum, and then it looked like they were going to seize momentum, and they couldn't, and then you go right before half, and again, a tendency that we've seen since Blake Harrell was taken over is to not be conservative before halftime, and we drive down the field and kick a field goal to tie it up before half, which to me was huge.
Yeah, I was actually going back earlier today and watching the extended highlights of Thursday night on YouTube, and that sequence there where Sam Danka got the huge pick right after we had turned it over, and then, like you said, 1st and 10 at your own 28-yard line with right around 35 seconds, maybe less than that. Very atypical for how we would have gone about things earlier in the season. But we were on the attack there, and to Andrew Conrad's credit, he knocked one in from 52, and 4 out of 5 now from 40 yards and beyond, including 2 makes from over 50, with the only miss coming from 52 that fell just shy against Florida Atlantic. Now we just got to figure out a way to consistently knock in those PATs and chip shots.
Yeah, why don't we? The other kid only missed one PAT and they pulled him. Why don't we just go back to letting him kick point afters and short field goals, and then just let Conrad kick anything over 40? I don't know. There's no rule saying we can't play 3 kickers.
Yeah, if you recall, wasn't it the Temple game where I think Noah Perez started off that game?
Yes,
and that's when he missed one, and then it's been Andrew Conrad ever since.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a situation with a zero tolerance for missing extra points. I wonder if we'll see Perez back out there next week. Although you did see Conrad warming up when we thought we were going to have to kick a field goal before Harris got it in the end zone.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, like, as an East Carolina fan, you try not to be negative, but you've seen so many crazy things in the kicking game over the years. And I'm telling you, I'm watching that game and I'm saying to myself, well, we can't celebrate yet. We need to make the extra point.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like, in my head, I'm like, this is not a given. And sure enough, I mean, we've just seen it so many times. But
doink,
yeah. And those things, obviously, look, that gets you beat. And that's what, I think you can point to some positive things there, is that we were able to win that game. And I don't think earlier in the season we do win that game. So I think that's a positive. Now, I'll tell you, I kind of went back and looked at some of the film today, guys. And I don't think Caton Hauser, for whatever reason, was at his best the other night. He was really shaky from the opening play. And I pointed this out to you guys earlier, but if you go back and look at the first play of the game, he had 2 options. One was Rahjai Harris leaked into the seam. It was one-on-one on a linebacker. And then he had Winston Wright who kind of just flared out on the perimeter, and he threw it to Winston Wright, who got blown up in the backfield. It just seemed like from the first play of the night, for whatever reason, he wasn't as sharp as we've seen him. Now that happens, I'm not knocking him. Everybody's going to have some games like that where you're just not seeing the field as clearly. But I think, Hauser, he struggled a lot the other night at times, and for whatever reason, it just didn't seem like we were on the same page. Like he was on the same page with the receiver sometimes, and I thought there was an interesting chess match where Tulsa, they gave a lot of different looks. They were bringing their corners up and press. They were backing them off 10, 12 yards at times. They were jumping routes, and I think they played a lot of zone towards the end, and they gave him a lot of different looks. But good learning experience for him, especially when you win that game.
Yeah, of Caden Hauser's interceptions, up till Thursday night, pretty much all of them had just been poor throws. Maybe there had been one of the, I think, 4 interceptions going into the Tulsa game that had been a decision error there. But, on Thursday night, if I recall correctly, I think 2 out of the 3 at least were bad decisions, if not all 3. And you had the one there, the pick 6. The corner was 10 yards off. And, I saw what Caton saw there, but at the same time, despite him being 10 yards off, he was lined up like, sure, as a sprinter, you're going to be in a sprinter stance, but if you were starting standing up, that's how the corner was positioned. You could tell that he didn't disguise it very well with his body language and his posture there, and it was pretty evident that he was going to come up in a hurry, and we didn't recognize that, and as a result, we threw a pick 6 because I rewound it and saw that you had the whole throw because they were going to cover 2, and unfortunately there we just didn't recognize it, and it cost us 7 points.
Yeah, I think what I saw a lot of last night, they took a lot of the deep balls away. I think maybe we should have thrown them anyway and just thrown a 50-50 balls to see what happened some of the times. But we made him work the field, or they made him work the field a little bit more. And to his credit, he had more success in the second half. The 2 of the 3 picks for the first half, if I'm remembering correct, right? He only had 1 pick in the second half.
Is that right, Bubba? I'm trying to think.
I'm almost positive.
I think you are right. Yeah, can't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, I believe.
Like Axel says here, he said we actually threw a pick on consecutive plays because you had the one that was wiped out with a penalty, and then the next play you were thinking, hey, we caught a break here, and then we throw the pick 6.
Yeah, that was all there was only 1 interception in the second half, right?
I believe so.
Okay, that's what I'm remembering.
I'm not 100%, but I believe so. Hey guys, let's go to some of these comments. We got a ton of folks chiming in to express their perspective on this Pirate victory. Be it on YouTube or Facebook. Jonathan on YouTube, he said, "Proud of these guys for fighting hard in a tough game on the road, even with so many mistakes, getting the job done. Showed a lot of grit from this team, no doubt, and that's something that we were talking about following the game and on Friday in our group text. Just that, as ugly as it was, and like Coach Harrell said in the post game, unfortunately at times you're going to have those games, and you just got to find a way to win them. You think earlier this year, an example that I obviously people were expecting at the time for Kentucky to be a pretty good football team, but in Georgia won, what was it, like 14-13 or 13-12, and hey, they just found a way to win in Lexington that day. But appreciate the comment, Jonathan. Justin Butts chiming in as always. He says the Queen Anne's Revenge. The QA3 is ready for another road trip this coming up week to Denton, Texas, and looking forward to another bowl trip in a few weeks. And he said everyone will disagree with me, but the officiating crew, in his opinion, did get the calls right.
I strongly disagree with you, Justin, on some of those calls. That like the holding call on Rahjai's touchdown, that hold had nothing to do with that play. He just let that play go.
Axel saying the foghorn operator at Dowdy needs to take notes from the siren operator at Tulsa. Yeah, I got tired of hearing that.
And I get tired of hearing, yeah. 10 toes in it when you standing on business. The worst third down song ever. If we don't change that crap, let me speak on this. We got one more home game, and I know we ain't gonna change it for the other home game, but we better not have that as our third down song next year. That is the worst crap in the history of third down songs. But anyway, go ahead.
Let's see. Jonathan chimes in again saying, that being said, do y'all think it's got to be tougher playing in an empty stadium on the road or a packed out crowd? Crowds provide energy, good or bad. I heard Holton, I think it was on the fifth quarter on Pirate Radio following the game. He addressed that, and he said, in his opinion, it was actually easier to play on the road with a small crowd than it is at home, because at home you're thinking, well, hey, this sucks. Our fans didn't show up and support us. So that's one man. So, but you go ahead.
I would see where Holton would have that perspective because of how much he cares about East Carolina football.
Right.
But I can tell you, and I bet you'd like to hear Matt's opinion on this. I know some of the trips back in the Conference USA days to UAB, for example, with nobody in the stadium. I never. What is y'all's opinion on that? I mean, Bubba, you playing the small college football, you played in a lot of empty stadiums, but I'm sure there was good atmospheres too. What is both y'all's opinion on that? How did both of you on the road? Did you prefer playing in front of a big crowd or a small? I would think it would be hard to get motivated.
I'll defer this to Matt because he's certainly the better example here. And Matt, you played at the Carrier Dome when Syracuse had it rolling, and they had 50,000, and obviously the retention that dome had. You also played at Tulane where there's nobody there. You played at South Carolina in front of 80,000, as well as other big time atmospheres. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I always hated the empty stadium. I mean, I did play at Tulsa too, and it was pretty empty stadium back then as well. And never liked playing in those. I preferred, like, I would take playing at Tennessee in front of 100,000 any day because you just feed off that excitement. But at the same time, it's like as a player, you have to do your job, and regardless of the conditions, you have to show up and play. And that game was on national TV. It was a great showcase opportunity. So there was still a lot to play for. But I definitely think, I think any player would tell you if you had your choice that, you're taking the packed house any day of the week.
And it did seem like that the crowd that was there was into it. It was a small crowd, but I've seen worse small crowds. They're right on top of you in Tulsa. That stadium, it seems like they're right on top of you. And it did seem like the fans that were there were into the game. And you talk about it being a national showcase game. Well, the average person who's watching college football, they don't care about well, they want to see it's a competitive game. There was a lot of people watching that game in that fourth quarter hidden in the Sports Center. I guarantee it. So from that aspect of it being a competitive, fun game to watch in the fourth quarter for a casual college football fan that had nothing invested into it, I bet you more people enjoyed watching that just in terms of casual fans than the previous week against Florida Atlantic, where the only people that enjoyed that one were East Carolina fans.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, if you were a neutral observer of that game, if you didn't have a dog in the fight, you're probably just sitting back and you're just enjoying, the flow of the game and the big plays and just the whole vibe of the game. But yeah, absolutely. It was definitely interesting being an ECU fan. I think it added 5 years to, or I should say, it took off 5 years of my life. But like I said, we did get the win, and you got to credit some of our older guys. You look at, we talk about Rahjai Harris. I mean, Rahjai, you can't say enough about the person, right? He's always been a great ambassador for the program. He represents the program so well. He's a leader. He played his ass off the other night. And, when he got in the open field, his ability to make the linebacker miss was awesome to see. He did a great job making one cut and finding his way to the end zone. And then Deontay Johnson, fellas, oh my God. He played like a beast in the middle of the field. He made quite a few plays behind the line of scrimmage. Great to see there. And then, Bubba, what can you say about 15? I mean, the young freshman just making plays. He's a grown man on the outside, and the future is bright for him. I just hope we can keep him here.
Yeah, Yannick Smith out of Summerville, South Carolina, and a heck of a high school basketball player as well. If you've never seen his highlight reel dunks, and but he was more than just a acrobatic dunker, and he was a tremendous basketball player, and yeah, hopefully we can hang on to him.
He's a grown man. He's a grown man, Bubba.
Yeah.
Kyle. I mean, he not only is he, he's got great height, but he's wide too, and he's strong for his age. He is a really strong kid. I mean, great hands, has the ability to go up and get it. I mean, he could be a really special player here. I didn't mean to cut you off, Bubba. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. He had close to 70 yards receiving, I think it was, on Thursday night. Axel chiming in here with some thoughts regarding our secondary. He said Omar Rogers and Gavin Gibson, really proved themselves the other night. Omar Rogers is all over the field, and Gavin Gibson's really had a nose for the football all season long. We certainly given up big plays in the passing game, but he has shooting. He had probably 4 or 5 interceptions now.
Yeah, he does give up big plays, but he also is good at getting takeaways. Which I think that's okay when you're scoring a lot of points. People say the defense hadn't played as well down the stretch, and it hasn't. But with the exception of the Florida Atlantic game, but when you're getting takeaways, and we step up when we have to on defense, like at the end of the game in the red zone there when they could have tied it up or God forbid go for 2 and win it. You get the 4th down stop, and so yeah, the defense overall is not playing great by any means, but they're stepping up when they have to, and you don't have to be perfect on defense when your offense is scoring. I did want to touch on something, and maybe you guys, Bubba, maybe you have some insight. You guys talking about Yannick Smith? He needed to step up because you had Chase Sowell go down, you had Winston Wright Jr. go down. Do we have any update on their status? I know I saw Winston Wright was at a meet and greet yesterday with Hauser signing autographs. Looked like he was standing up with no leg support in terms of braces or anything. Or so do we know the status or any injury update on Winston Wright or Sowell?
I've not seen an update on either of them, and Brian Pays actually brings that up in the comment section on Facebook, saying going to be tough with Barker out the first half and possibly Chase Sowell not 100%, and and then he didn't mention Winston Wright, but of course Winston Wright had the lower leg injury. It appeared late in the game.
Oh, he took a helmet to the leg, didn't he?
Yeah, I've heard day to day on both those guys for whatever that's worth. And Justin Butts just chimed in. He said Wright is good. I was really concerned when I saw Wright take that hit on that punt return. My immediate thought was he's done for the year. That was my immediate thought because it looked like his knee hyperextended, and that can be a bad injury. But hey, so we haven't heard the worst. So, like Justin just said, day to day, that's what I heard too. So that's good. We're going to need him. We're not in a position where we can afford to lose anybody. To Pays' point, Barker, obviously him being out for the first half that's a huge loss for this defense. But you're going to need guys to step up around it.
Yeah, it's good to hear like that. Wright's probably good, and maybe day to day on Sowell. Need them both, and that was the targeting call on Barker. That is what it is, but you're gonna have to find a way to play the first half in Denton against the Mean Green without him, who's struggling. We'll get into that game in a minute. So we talk more about this one, but you look at North Texas, and suddenly they've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, 48-27, 49-27, something like that, at the Alamo Dome, and gave up.
Fire the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, gave up 689 yards of offense or something to that effect, and like you said, and fired the defensive coordinator on Saturday. And
how many yards of offense did you just say?
680 something, maybe 687, 689, somewhere in there.
My God,
Because they ran for over 300, and then McCown threw for like 385.
Yeah, and now North Texas fires their defensive coordinator, so they're playing at home, so they'll be all souped up and ready to go and flying around on defense, and so we're gonna have to deal with that crap. They couldn't just wait till the end of the year to fire him; they had to fire him now. But anyway, we'll deal. We'll take it as it comes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they'll certainly be motivated, like you're saying, but as we know, that doesn't guarantee anything with the way we've been executing offensively. Because even with the turnover problem, I guess that Tulsa game was very similar to the Old Dominion game in that we had over 500 yards of offense, just didn't take care of the football. We had 4 turnovers. So we got to clearly clean that up. But if we take care of the ball better like we did those 2 previous games against Temple and Florida Atlantic, especially Florida Atlantic, then I like our chances to win a high-scoring game. The total, the over-under in this one is 72.5, which is exactly where I thought it would be. It's the same as the total was for UTSA and North Texas going into that one on Friday.
We still put up 30, 37, 38. How many did we score Thursday?
38 points despite 4 turnovers and a lot of penalties.
That's pretty salty.
Yep. Because you think about it, at least one of those turnovers, if not multiple, were took away scoring opportunities. So we probably have 48 or something if we take care of the football.
It seems like it was another season ago when we would have given our left nut to score 38 points in a game.
No doubt.
Yeah, I was thinking of that earlier. I mean, like you think about this season, my concerns have gone completely in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Early in the season, I was so worried about the inept offense we saw, and I thought we were playing pretty decent defense there. And now my concerns have gone to completely the other way, where I'm worried about the defense. And I think you look at this North Texas game. I mean, you just anticipate a shootout here because. I feel very confident we're gonna air the ball out. We're gonna score quite a bit. But right now, I think the way our secondary is playing, we're good against the run, but in pass coverage, we just cannot seem to get our head around and make a play on the ball. And 50-50 balls are not going in our favor. So, you got to or at least at the very least, you think North Texas is gonna move the ball up and down the field with success, and it could be whoever outscores the opponent.
It'll be interesting how momentum plays into this. We've won 3 in a row. They lost 4 in a row. I think we're 2 pretty evenly matched football teams. Wish this was in Greenville instead of Denton. But it's going to be interesting to see, does momentum carry us, or does that even play, into the game? One time North Texas was, they were first place in the league at one point. People forget that. They were rolling, and now suddenly, what are they, 5-5 now? And at one point they were 5-1. So
yeah, who would have thought that we would be going into this matchup with the better record?
That's insane. We can finish as high as 3rd in the conference, which is something else I don't think people have thought about. We'd have to take care of business the next 2 weeks, but if I'm not mistaken, we can finish as high as 3rd. Is that right?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah,
that's what Tulane. Blowing out Navy the way they did, which wasn't all that surprising once Navy's quarterback Horvath was injured and lost for the game with the back spasms. With him, I think Tulane definitely wins. I would think, but you never know. And I was certainly hopeful that Navy could pull off the upset and keep hope alive that that we could potentially squeak into the championship game.
I didn't even know that was still a possibility.
I think it was still mathematically possible, until Tulane's win on Saturday.
Okay. Speaking
I
of
may be wrong, but I think that was the case.
speaking of Navy and Horvath, with his back spasms, not that I want the young man to be hurt, but I was kind of hoping they had, I don't know, somebody competitive this weekend, but they're gonna play open. They're gonna beat off. So at Navy with another open date before they play us, so they get a chance for old Horvath to get to feeling better before they come into Dowdy Ficklin. Just absolutely look. The American can shove it up their tails with this giving Navy a damn off week every time before we play them. I mean, this is ridiculous. This seems to be a yearly thing that Navy has an off week before they play the Pirates, and they do this year. And meanwhile, we're going to have a short week. We're going to go play in Denton, Texas this Saturday, then have to turn around on Thanksgiving week, have a short week, play on Black Friday, with the distraction of Thanksgiving for what that's worth. Look, Matt, or both of y'all, how distracting is that? Is Thanksgiving not? I mean, do you give a crap, or you just like that on the football game? Does it matter that is that a distraction at all, not being at home for Thanksgiving, or do you really care, Matt and Bubba?
I mean, listen, you definitely get to the end of the season grind where you're like, I'd love to be able to sit home and eat some turkey and, chill out a little bit. But like at the same time, you just have to lock in and do what needs to be done. It's definitely, it's definitely a grind towards the end of the season. And to your point, I mean, short week, you're on the road 2 weeks in a row and then you're coming back home. That's a tall task. That's a tall task, especially with Navy coming off of a bye, which is absurd. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, but you just have to lock in. The good teams, the truly great teams, are able to overcome that stuff and just lock in mentally and take care of business. So, hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things that you always hear from coaches as a player, and you're preaching to your players as a coach that you want to be playing meaningful football in the month of November and into December. Regardless of the level, whether it's high school, college, or professional, and that's clearly the case with us. Although we're not playing for a championship, we're playing our best football now as we go into the end of the regular season and into a bowl game.
Yeah, you have a chance. Look, two things. One, Blake Harrell's trying to get a job, so that's one thing we have to play for, and I'm sure the players are going to play highly motivated for that. Two, we have a chance to win 8 games, even 7 games in the regular season. Have not been done around here very much. Go count how many 8-win seasons we've had this millennium since the year 2000. Not very many, particularly 8-win regular seasons, and 7-win seasons are pretty rare. 7-win regular seasons. We've only had 2 7-win regular seasons in the last decade since we fired Ruffin. So still a lot to play for, and mainly, in my opinion, can Blake Harrell get this job? And I don't know if we talked about this or not. It seems like we didn't. It seems like we kind of skipped over it, went around it. But we talked about the game Thursday night, how close it was, how competitive it was. That's something we needed to see out of Blake Harrell. How would he do coaching in a close game? Would he panic on the sideline? Would he make the wrong decisions? And he didn't. He kept the team together. Good clock management for the most part. He when they had the ball down in our red zone, getting ready to potentially score, he called a timeout to conserve some clock, and then decided not to call any more timeouts, and kind of let Tulsa use their timeouts after that, and good end of the game management in that fourth quarter by Blake in a close game. That's again something I wanted to see, is how he would manage that thing. And I told you, Matt, you called me at halftime. And you said we need to pull away, and I said I think it's going to be a 4-quarter game. And I said we need to start running the football. And unfortunately, I was right about it being a 4-quarter game, but I was right about us needing to establish the run also, because that's really ultimately what won the game for us. But that was something we needed to see out of Blake. could he win a close ball game, and to be in that situation. And I was impressed with the way he handled things in the fourth.
Yeah, I think you look at that game, right? I think, and people say, like, is there a difference between what Blake Harrell is doing versus what Mike Houston was doing? And
Yes.
there really is. There's a huge difference, and I can tell you, there's no way, there is no way in hell we are getting that field goal right before halftime with Mike Houston. And I'm not banging on Mike Houston. What's done is done. But I'm just pointing out the difference. We would have taken that game to half. We would have. So I love the aggressive coaching there to be able to say, hey, look, we have nothing to lose. We're going to go play football. We're going to throw it. We're going to try to score. And we got down there. We got that field goal. That was huge. In addition to that, how many times did we go for it on fourth down? All right. Now you could look at that and say, all right, maybe it's a little risky. Maybe it's a little risky, but at the same time, look, Blake Harrell's attitude and John David Baker right now is, we're going to be aggressive. We have nothing to lose. We're going to play to win. And you have to respect that. You really have to respect that. The one thing I'll say that I differed with Blake Harrell's game management, and again, this is not really a criticism. This is just how I would have handled it. When I'm saying North Texas already. When Tulsa had the ball down under 2 minutes left in the game, I would have used my timeouts there. I would have played that game as if they were going to score and use my timeout so that if they did score, we get the ball back with a minute and a half. That was my only difference in how I would have managed the game, but certainly can't complain. I mean, these guys are playing to win.
And he did call one timeout in that situation. I don't think he quite decided what he wanted to do there. He called the timeout, and then he didn't call any more. I believe that was after first down, down when they had it like inside the 10 or wherever the hell it was, first and goal. I sort of remember now. Yeah, first and goal. He called the timeout there, and then he didn't call any more timeouts after that. Tulsa started using their timeouts, but I'm kind of with you there, although it did work out. And that fourth down stop, who got a tackle? 26.
That was Isaiah Brown Murray. Yeah, 26.
Yeah, great individual effort there on that tackle. Because if he doesn't get that tackle, they probably score there.
Oh, no
one-on-one
doubt.
tackle.
No doubt. And you could tell Tulsa, like when they got down inside the 5, they were going to go to that jet sweep play. They ran that in the first quarter, and I believe it was Wilson Lamp hit the ball carrier and they fumbled. You remember that early in the first quarter, they fumbled in the end zone. They went back to that same play with the game on the line, and we were able to make a great hit and stop them just short of the goal line. But what a tackle in that situation, and you just felt good to get out of there with a W.
For whatever reason, when we were watching that game live, Jessica thought he scored there. I was yelling, celebrating, and she said, "What happened? Why are you?" I was like, "We stopped him." I don't know why she thought he got in. Did anybody else watching think he thought he got in there? Or my wife just half asleep. He wasn't even close to getting in.
Hey, Kyle, at least this was a positive with Jessica saying what happened, because the other time you told me about her saying that was the UCF game?
The Hail Mary.
So what happened? You said, "What do you mean? What happened? We lost the damn game. Let's go."
I didn't say damn. But yeah. I had stormed down the ramp and then walked back up, and she was still standing there saying, "What happened?" I said, "What do you mean? What happened? We lost the effing game. Let's go." yeah. That was not a good night.
So Kyle's buddy James from Hattiesburg chiming in saying, "Congrats to Blake Harrell for finding a way to overcome adversity and win. Give Blake the job if he beats North Texas on Saturday."
Let me ask James a question. Let me ask James a question really quick. Let me ask James how he feels about this one, considering what's going on down in Southern Miss. For those of you who don't know, James is a big Southern Miss guy. If Blake Harrell doesn't get the job here, for whatever reason, how would you feel about Southern Miss hiring him to be the head coach there?
That's a good question. I know who he wants as the head coach, and I know who the top candidate is at USM. But That's a good question. I don't think he'd be a candidate there, Matt. I know why you're asking him though, but I do think he will get an interview. If we don't hire him, I'd be shocked if he didn't get an interview at Kennesaw State. I'd be beyond shocked.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt. I was just curious about that. Southern Miss not to get off topic, just an uncharacteristic. I mean, that loss yesterday was brutal. So they need a great hire in the worst way.
Yeah, the guy that they seem to most of their fans really want them to target is interesting. UNLV's OC. There is a huge outpouring from their fan base to hire the go-go guy, the guy that runs the go-go office at UNLV, their OC, which I don't think would be a bad hire. I know James wants Blake Anderson. He has a personal relationship with Blake Anderson, and Blake Anderson was an OC at Southern Miss at one time, did a great job at Arkansas State and Utah State. Got in a little trouble at Utah State. He's trying to clear his name, but that's who James wants there at USM.
Yeah, Axel saying UNLV OC Brennan Marion.
Yes, Marion. Thank you. Name was escaping. We actually played against him. He was the OC at William and Mary when we played them in Houston's first year.
Interesting.
Yeah,
don't remember that.
I do remember that because I remember the go-go offense.
Yep, that's how I remembered it too. But he's done a great job, and really, what I would like to know, and he's not coming up for our job, so I don't even know why we're discussing this in depth. But if I'm a USM fan, one thing I want to know is, their quarterback, the Campbell quarterback, who was their backup to start the year. Was that a Marion get, or was that their head coach? Because if Marion picked him out, then you got to feel good about his ability to recognize talent and work the portal, and without having to spend a lot of money.
Right, Haj Malik Williams.
Yep.
Let's see. Chuck Sae said, "Why would they call a penalty on our offensive line when Harris was clearly gone and the penalty had nothing to do with the play?"
Agree.
Hated it. Hated that call. What a disgrace that call was.
And can somebody explain to me? Go ahead, Matt. Finish your thought on that.
Well, I just say, this is, I know the goal is to make the game safer. This is football. At the end of the day, if you can't hit a guy in that situation, what the hell are we doing? I mean, I loved it. I loved the aggression there from Dustin Hall. I thought it was a good, solid block. I thought it was well within the confines of the play. Absolutely horrendous call. I just maybe by the rule book. I know Justin's an official, and he mentioned earlier in the comments that by the rule book that was the right call, maybe. But for me, you got to change the rule then, because if you can't hit somebody in that situation, there's something wrong.
It had no effect on the play. Keep the flag in your pocket.
Right.
Something egregious, egregiously violent or unsportsmanlike. Keep the flag in your pocket.
Right. Offensive lineman doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. It's one of those things like, yes, you have. You don't know exactly where the football is all the time.
Help me with this, guys. You guys know the rules better than I do. How in the hell did we get called for a penalty on a free play?
I missed that one.
Okay. I don't know how you missed that play, Matt. I'm sure you saw it. The defensive lineman for Tulsa jumped. It was offsides. We got the playoff. We had a free play, and then got called for holding or PI or one of the two, offensive pass interference or holding. Matt, do you remember that play I'm talking about? They were offsetting penalties on a free play.
I do, yeah. And Hauser should have just taken a deep shot there. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, but how can you get called on a penalty on a free play?
What juncture of the game was that?
Second half.
Okay.
It was Justin. Can you chime in on that one? Justin's the official here, but I don't know. It was bizarre. There were so many bizarre things going on right there.
He got called for grounding. He got called for intentional grounding. He said he was.
How can that be?
I don't know. It's a free play. How can you get called for intentional grounding? And by the way, why the frig would you intentionally ground the ball on a free play, Hauser? I mean, I hate to be critical of you, but it's a free play. Who cares if you throw a pick? Just sling the ball.
I guarantee they're going to spend a lot of time on that in the film room, and that will not happen again. Just take a shot. Just take a shot.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't sure of the call.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He's just saying, like Justin's saying, it's still a live play, even though it's a free play.
Right, but if he throws a pick, it doesn't count. So why should intentional grounding count? It doesn't make any sense. But why would you intentionally ground it in that situation? The whole situation is idiotic.
Pay says that rule says that even though it's a free play, the offense can still be penalized. He said he went and looked it up the other night.
Okay, all right. Well, then why does an interception count in that situation? Then
Yeah,
I don't. But essentially, since an interception doesn't count, why in the world would you ground the ball? It's a free play. I'm going to throw it away. I don't know. That's a weird sequence of events. Thank God it didn't matter.
It was a bizarre football game at one point. It was like a comedy of errors. I mean, just both teams just couldn't get out of their own way, and it definitely got my blood pressure way too high.
You said the most frustrating game you've ever watched as an East Carolina fan that we've won. Not even close. Not even close.
That we've won?
2011 UAB.
2011 UAB.
Yes.
That we've won. You're talking about we won that game.
Yes, that we won. Yes.
I'd have
Bubba,
to go
you remember
back
that game?
I'd have to go back and look.
The 7 turnover game?
Yes, 7 turnovers, yes.
And one.
Yes. Barely.
That's definitely there. That same season, the game that we lost at UTEP. Remember that one?
Though, but that was a loss. We're talking about most frustrating games we've won.
Oh, sorry.
The
sorry.
UTEP game,
yeah,
that was beyond frustrating.
See.
There's plenty of those. There's plenty of frustrating games that we lost.
Right, but I'm sorry. I was thinking of close. But yeah, so as far as games we won, let's see. There were quite a few in the Holtz years.
I got one for you. And Matt played in it. No, Matt, were you still here? You were gone in '98. Cincinnati '98 on the road. There's a frustrating. That was a horrible Cincinnati team, and we did everything we could to lose that game. We managed to win.
That's funny you brought that one up, Kyle, because I was thinking that was a. The reason that game came to mind is because so many folks. And I mean, you knew this was going to happen because people were saying it before the game, and I guess you understand why people were saying it. In this situation, like, well, if even if you win at Tulsa, if it doesn't look good, and then Blake Harrell is not going to have a shot, or he shouldn't get a shot. And I was like, well, why would you say that? Like, you found a way to win despite the 4 turnovers and 12 penalties, and people still certainly love Steve Logan despite winning games like that. That Cincinnati team, like you're saying, Kyle, probably finished 1-10 or 2-9.
Winless. They were winless.
They were winless going into that game
in November.
And the only reason we won it, I think, it was 24-21. And like you said, that was the year after Matt had graduated. Yeah. It was at Nippert Stadium. They were winless. And
ESPN2 on a Thursday night.
The center, Gino Guidugli, or whoever was the quarterback at Cincinnati that year, was in the shotgun. The center snapped the ball to his butt, and we got a short field and scored a touchdown, ended up winning the game 24-21. Because I talked to Rick Minner, I had the chance the day after the Michigan game to get with Coach Minner and chat for a bit, and he showed me around there in Ann Arbor, and that game somehow came up, and he was laughing. He said, "Yeah, I remember it."
Yeah, Rick Minner's a good dude, friend of the podcast.
He's a great guy.
Great guy. For people that don't know, he's been
hilarious.
On the podcast multiple times. Bub, I don't think you told me that you and Rick got together in person there at Michigan.
Pay says the 2010 Southern Miss game where we were down 21-0 in the first quarter and came back and won.
But that one wasn't frustrating. That one, that was a good Southern Miss team on the road, and just a hell of a comeback in the second half. I wouldn't call that one frustrating, Pays.
kind of along those lines, but this was different because that comeback in the Southern Miss game happened earlier in the game. It was more of a gradual thing. That the game at Marshall that we won in 2021, when we were on the verge of when we were staring 0-3 in the face, that was a very frustrating game.
Yeah, that was a good Marshall team, though. I'm thinking of bad. When I'm thinking of
Right.
frustrating games, I'm also factoring in
like a
bad
Cincinnati
teams.
or I
The
got you.
UAB
Yeah.
in 2011, bad teams like that Tulsa game. And Skip Holtz won conference championships beating bad teams by 1 or 2 points. That was his MO half the time. So, I mean, no, anybody who says, well, it wasn't pretty, who gives a crap? Look, I care about how pretty a win is if we're trying to make the playoffs or a New Year's Six Bowl or something like that, or early in the year. But once November rolls around, anybody can beat anybody. Look, Wisconsin, a very mediocre Big Ten team, almost beat Oregon yesterday. Kansas just ruined BYU. Well, they didn't ruin BYU's season. BYU still could play for the Big 12 championship and make the playoffs. But a very mediocre Kansas team beat BYU yesterday. I mean, upsets happen all the time. That Tulsa team upset UTSA, who just beat the crap out of North Texas just 2 weeks ago.
Another
In
one,
Tulsa.
Kyle. You may remember this because I know this was the year that you really kind of stepped up your Pirate fandom. I guess you could say was '94.
Correct.
Remember that year? This would have been game 10 because that was back when you played just 11 games. And Matt, what your redshirt freshman season, we were 5-4, and we had UCF at home, and they were, of course, still 1AA at the time, and we had to hold the Knights off late, and ended up getting to 6-4, and then went out the next week against a very good Memphis team in that Liberty Bowl and just throttled them.
Yeah, for win number 7.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely, yeah, no doubt about it. And so lots of frustrating losses. The thing is, like, you think back to one
frustrating
play.
wins.
Frustrating wins. I'm sorry. You look back at that Tulsa game the other night. There was one thing that really changed it. I think if it hadn't happened, we would have cruised to victory. The play where Chase Sowell, he was 1-on-1. He caught it, gets down to the 1 yard line or the half-yard line.
And the fumble on the next play.
And so he should have got in there. His knee hit the ground, right? You come out, and we got a little cute. I don't know what happened with the exchange between Hauser and I guess it was Marlon Gunn. Something happened with the exchange. We fumbled. Then we get a penalty. Had we scored there, right? Now you're up, 14-3.
Yep.
All right. We scored on the next possession. That was a critical juncture in that game, and it just set off a bad chain of events, I feel like.
And another time, when the touchdown got called back by Rahjai in the second half, what would have put us up by 14, was another time we would have probably started to pull away.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt.
Yeah, that was the first decision pick, if you will, bad decision, by Caton. You had you'd received the break with the fumbled exchange, handoff there, and then you got the good bounce and got the football back, and then did that a play or two later. But to go back, I love the aggressiveness at the end of the first half when we tied the game up, and you can't underestimate the momentum there, going in tied at 17 instead of down 17-14. And then in the last 6 minutes of the game, a 24-yard touchdown run and a 23-yard touchdown run by Rahjai Harris, and then a nice play on the 2-point conversion as well that made it where if Tulsa was going to win in regulation, they're going to have to get a 2-point conversion. And like Matt already mentioned, what a cut on that first of those 2 touchdown runs by Rahjai. He broke the safety's ankles.
Yeah,
he
go ahead, Matt.
Oh, sorry, Kyle. Yeah, his ability to make that cut, I think was really impressive. And you could tell Rahjai was just in his zone the other night. He was really comfortable, and he made the plays. It's just like I said, just very happy for him because he's had a lot of ups and downs. And great kid, obviously. No longer a kid. What is he? 22 now, probably. But really happy for him.
What do you guys make of the way he's been used a little different since Harrell's taken over as head coach? It seems like he doesn't get as many carries, but he's more productive with the carries he gets.
Yeah, the way we're using our running back room, where he was the primary back and receives the majority of the carries the first half of the season. I love how we're incorporating Marlon Gunn and London Montgomery more now, and then Rahjai obviously still shoulders a very significant role as well. And you saw, like you, the expression you always love to use, Kyle, as far as getting Rahjai lathered up.
Yeah.
And he was having consistent 3, 4, 5 yard carries, and then he was ripping off 23, 24. Obviously, had a 71 yarder get called back, and really showcasing some nice footwork and nice vision.
Yeah, Rahjai had the game of his career, even with that touchdown called back. It was still, I don't know how many yards he had because of that touchdown run being called back, but
114 on 18 carries and 2 touchdowns.
Do you know how pissed off he must have been? Do you know how pissed off he must have been to have that call? I'll tell you, I've had some touchdowns called back against myself. Like, it is the worst feeling in the world because you have no idea it's happened behind you. And then you get in the end zone and all of a sudden you see that flag. It sucks.
Especially a 70-yarder, 71-yarder.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially that play. You're right. It's just brutal.
Johnny Robertson says, talking about the play of our wideouts, you had big games once again. Despite him getting injured, Chase Sowell, 75 yards. Anthony Smith, 84 yards. You had Winston Wright, had right at 70 yards receiving. Yannick Smith, around 60 or 70 yards. Very balanced, and a lot of guys contributing. And he said, give some credit to Darrell Roberts, the former Virginia Tech great. He said our wideouts are getting some good separation and getting a lot of yards after the catch, and have done a better job of eliminating those drops.
Yeah, no, the receivers are playing well. They really are, as a whole unit. The O-line is playing so much better. It's just amazing how much better this offense has been playing. The offensive line may be one of the more impressive things. You normally don't pull an offensive line at your butt midway through the season. And they're creating holes in the running game, and a lot of it is the way we're running the ball, utilizing the perimeter more, getting the ball outside, which is opening up the middle for us. So many things I think we're doing different now than we would be doing if Houston was still here, particularly offensively. And that's not a knock on Houston. Look, Houston's a good coach. I have no doubt in my mind Houston will go somewhere else and be successful. There's only one guy here that ever had that approach to coaching that had success in the modern era, and that was Skip Holtz for long term. Houston had its moments, obviously 21 and 22. But in terms of long-term sustained success, the only guy that has done that here with that style of football was Holtz. What we're doing now, being wide open, going forward on fourth down, being aggressive, that tends to work better here. Logan, McNeil, that's more the approach that we need to take typically.
Axel saying North Texas is -6 on turnover ratio. And this is a game, where it's very likely, I thought this, although much different style of game, as far as the type of offense Army employs, but, you thought that one was going to be fairly high scoring, end up being 14-3. I would be stunned if this one's anything like that. I think, I'd be surprised if this one isn't more than 17 total points in the first quarter. But East Carolina in 10 ball games, I think we've forced, and correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny Robertson, but I'm pretty sure we forced multiple turnovers in every game except Charlotte and Army, which we did not force a turnover in either of those games.
How many times did we force Thursday night? I don't recall us any.
Two.
Okay.
We had 4, 3 picks and a fumble, and 2 for Tulsa.
Yeah, I remember our 4. I don't remember their 2 for whatever reason. It could be because I was back and forth to the bathroom.
The fumble at the goal line, Kyle. The fumble at the goal line.
Okay, in the first half.
In the first quarter, yeah, they were down.
And then Sam Danka's pick.
Yep.
I don't remember
right at the end of the first half.
I don't remember to set up the field goal. Okay, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Pays says this would be our best AAC finish since we got to the league. If we can win these last 2 games and go 6-2, and we've been 5-3 on multiple occasions. Our first year in 2014, we were 5-3. We were 5-3. Under Coach Houston, I believe in 2022. I believe. I think we were 5-3 that year. But at least 2 or 3 occasions we've been 5-3. But this would be our best AAC finish, like Pays points out. And then John White, former Pirate, right-handed pitcher from the Gary Overton years, a.k.a. Juan Blanco. He chimes in saying North Texas is not looking very good, yet still favored, albeit by the home field advantage points. But still felt ECU would go in favored. Is that because of ECU having a less than stellar showing against Tulsa?
No, that would be North Texas has got a good offense. They've been struggling, but with the exception of that Army game, they still have a very good offense. But go ahead, Bubba.
That was what I was going to point out. That combined with our turnover problem for the bulk of the season, save 1 or 2 games, and then the way North Texas has played offense in all but 1 or 2 games, that I can see why they're a slight favorite at home. That's what I would have guessed, and I think we were all in agreement on that they would be somewhere, around a 2, 3, 4 point favorite.
Yeah, I texted you last night. -4 was my prediction, so -2 was actually a little more than what I was expecting in our favor. So I think it's a pretty evenly matched game. I sure wish it was in Greenville. I think it's gonna be a hell of a ball game. Like I say, fun one to watch. If it was in Greenville, the crowd would probably be really into this one, but unfortunately, it's in Denton.
And Richard Allsbrook chiming in saying, I hope we can get healthy. He's concerned about our receivers, as we were discussing earlier with Winston Wright, Chase Sowell, and banged up there. And just in Thursday's game alone, that duo, had about 140 yards worth of production.
Yeah, and for Richard, it sounds like they're day-to-day. Justin Butt said that Winston's fine, so hopefully he's right on that, and Winston is good to go. But official word is day-to-day on both.
Yeah, I just want to say too, like as a head coach, this is the type of game where you really earn your respect and you earn your paycheck, because think about it from this perspective, right? You're going on the road back-to-back weeks, all right? So you have a little adversity there. You've had some injuries. Your team just got, bowl eligibility. So maybe you're fighting against a little bit of a natural letdown. This is the type of week where the coaching staff really has to challenge this team in practice mentally to keep them sharp, make sure that they're ready to play. There's no letdown, and you just can't accept any excuses, right? You got to go back on the road and you got to play well. Like I said, the great teams can handle that. You see it every week in college football. The great teams can handle it. The teams that are average and maybe not so average, they can't handle it. So this is a huge opportunity for Blake Harrell and the entire staff to come out and have a chance to win this game, because you have a lot of things going against you.
And I believe Chase's injury, from what I recall, what a hamstring, Matt, and that's an injury that that's something that can nag you for a while. So hopefully it's on the lesser extreme side of things, and he can be able to go. But
Well, yeah, if we can get Winston back, if he's pretty close to 100%, if you'd like to have them both, but if you're without one, it ain't as bad as being without both. But yeah, I'm like you. Hopefully, they both can go. I, particularly, I really, in my head, just for complete transparency, I have us losing to North Texas and beating Navy at home, even with all the advantages Navy is going to have with an off week, and Navy's a good football team. I just like the intangible so much for us in that Navy game, with it being Friday after Thanksgiving, with it being senior day, with Blake, trying to get the job. Never beat Navy in Greenville. I don't know. I just have a feeling about that game. But first things first against North Texas. And are we asking? You're asking a lot of people. Well, Blake's got to win out, to get the job. Well, you know, 8-4 and 5-0. It's that you're asking a lot. But we'll see. We got two more games. I think we can win them both. I think we can lose them both. But first things first is North Texas. They're up next, and it will be a high scoring affair. I would imagine in Denton, Texas, on Saturday afternoon at 3:30 kickoff. Again, I can't say it enough. I wish it was in Greenville.
Yeah, and one more thing, and this is going to sound like coach speak, but it's really not. This is the type of week you got to have your strong senior leadership. These guys, like some of the guys we've mentioned already, Rahjai, right, Deontay Johnson, your senior leaders, Elijah Morris, all these guys, they need to lead this team. They need to make sure they're ready to play because, again, you're kind of fighting that mental battle this week where you're back on the road. And you just came off bowl eligibility, and you need to be ready to go. So you just I just can't say it enough. You got to be locked in mentally for this type of game.
It guarantees us a winning season. That's another thing. Bowl eligibility is one thing. This is a winning season if we get this one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep. And have a chance to win the most games that the program's won since 2013.
Yeah, no, we can still win 9 games. That's right, with the bowl game. So
obviously that 2013 team was 10-3.
Yeah, I mean, good God, who would have? If that were to play out that way, I mean, it is possible. It is possible that we went out, go 8-4, and end up in the military bowl against like North Carolina or North Carolina State. I mean, and then end up not having a magical season. If it would have felt like 2 separate football seasons if it were to play out that way. I mean, that's a lot of ifs and buts, but we'll
3-4 followed by 6-0.
Yeah, I mean,
fun to dream.
Yeah,
and with the way we're playing, I mean, it could very well become a reality.
Yep, no doubt. I don't know if there's anything else we guys want to touch on. Bubba, do you want to promote the basketball preview from earlier today? As we had a nice win against George Mason yesterday. Not to change the subject to hoops, but I know that was talked about. Go ahead.
Dave and I had about a 30-minute Pirate basketball overtime. Go back to our YouTube channel and check that out. Be sure to subscribe and follow on all of our platforms. Be it X, Instagram, etc. But we talked about the Pirates getting to 4-0 with that 78-77 double overtime win over George Mason, a team that in the Ken Palm, in the net, early in the season was top 100. So a quality out of conference win over an Atlantic 10 A10 foe.
20-win team last year, weren't they?
Yeah, a program that won 20 games a season ago, and picked 6th preseason in the A10.
And that puts you in NIT conversation if you finish 5th, 6th in the A10.
Yep, and so that's definitely one of the better wins of the Schwartz era, and perhaps.
And it didn't seem like a fluke, Bubba. That's what I liked about it most. It did not seem like a fluke.
Right, and very much like Thursday. I mean, to a lesser degree, but we did not shoot the basketball well at all. Shot 33% and still found a way to win.
Good defense, played hard, refused to lose mentality, true leadership out there on the floor from help me out, Bubba. I'm terrible with names. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, R.J. Felton.
Felton, yeah, true leadership from
Then
Felton, yeah.
Temple transfer Jordan Riley.
Yeah.
He had a double-double. C.J. Walker, the UCF transfer, who also spent time at Oregon there with
big free throws.
12 points, 12 rebounds. And, this is something I meant to bring up on overtime, just kind of laughingly with my dad this afternoon. And just we probably lead the nation in missed dunks. We've had some highlight reel dunks, like Jordan Riley, who was top play on SportsCenter because of the dunk he had against Mount Olive, where he posterized the guy. But we've also tried to produce several others that have not connected.
And that'll be a problem that we should fix as the season goes. But as we briefly talk one more thing about basketball, then we'll get back to football and wrap it up. But the Boardwalk Bash Classic, Boardwalk Broadway at the beach,
the
whatever it's
Boardwalk
called.
battle down in Daytona Beach.
Yeah, down at Daytona. Yeah, Jacksonville State in the first round. Then we get the winner of Stetson and Toledo. Toledo's a pretty good team out of the MAC. I think they typically are one of the front runners in the MAC. Who do we if we stay in the winners bracket? You got UC Irvine down there. You got LaSalle. Any chance we play LaSalle or UC Irvine? How did the brackets line up?
UC. It's actually UC San Diego, not Irvine.
I think they're both in.
I think
Am I wrong on
that? Let's see. It's UC San Diego. I think you got Illinois Chicago.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe,
yeah, I think you're thinking of you. I think you're thinking of
abbreviation, and it went backwards with it in my head.
I think you saw UIC and thought it was UCI.
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, it's Illinois Chicago.
So you got Toledo, Stetson, LaSalle.
Yeah. The other four teams, other half of the bracket. Yeah, it was LaSalle, Illinois, Chicago, and I'm trying to remember there too. But you have West Strom chiming in, saying the Gasparilla Bowl against NC State would be great to go to Tampa to play the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the Myrtle Beach Bowl, even though I want to go 8-4, and you probably don't go to the Myrtle Beach Bowl at 8-4. And we technically don't even have a tie-in with the Myrtle Beach Bowl this year. It's MAC, Sunbelt, and Conference USA, but that really doesn't matter all that much with the ESPN-owned bowls. They'll switch them around. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we end up bowling. That's a conversation we can have now. We're definitely going to a bowl. So it'll be fun to see how it plays out. And that tournament, I believe, the basketball tournament, it's not going to be on ESPN Plus. It's on Bally Sports or some crap like that you got to subscribe to. Or
I think it's the Baller Network or something.
The Baller Network. All right.
Something like that. Dave was familiar with it because of Alex having watched it. I had heard of it, but
you got to pay for it, or is it free?
I think it's $5 per game.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we make the championship game.
But you have John White saying the over-under is now 73.5 for our game. And then Johnny Robertson said it's been a while since Pirate football and men's hoops have had a combined 7-game win streak.
Yeah, no kidding. They won a soccer conference championship in the middle of
that. And I guess it was I guess it would have been 2012, 2013. And that obviously would have been part of the 12-13 calendars season. So I was just thinking the last time that we had winning seasons in hoops and then also
football.
also football. So you think because it was the spring of 13 that we won the CIT, and then that fall we won 10 games, and then that following basketball season in 13-14, I think we went 17-17. So I know Lebo had a lot of success there in his first 2 or 3 seasons, so it was probably.
Yeah, it would have been 13 because 14 if we went 500. And we didn't have a winning season in football since then until 21-22, and we didn't have winning seasons in basketball.
Yeah, so it's been too long. So definitely over a decade, and hopefully we can make that happen this year. But Matt, do you have anything before we wrap this up and get out of here?
Nah, man, I'm all good. I'm sneezing my head off over here with the Wuhan flu, so I'm good. I'm ready
The
to shut
China
it down
virus.
What's that?
The China virus came from China.
Came from China. Yep. It landed in my house apparently this week. So yeah, I'm staying on mute because I'm sneezing every 5 seconds over here.
Oh. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Pirate Football Playback here on the Sports Objective. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, like and follow us on Facebook, as well as following us on X and Instagram. We'll be back with you here in the next couple of days as we'll have you a preview for the North Texas game. We'll try to get Dave Barnett, formerly of ESPN, the longtime play-by-play voice of North Texas, on to talk about this matchup between the Pirates and the Mean Green. But
I'm working on getting famous North Texas alumni Stone Cold Steve Austin for later this week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Exactly.
I know Coach Harrell agrees.
Yes, indeed.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Can I get a hell yeah? I love that.
But
if you haven't seen that Pirate Nation post-game celebration in the locker room, Coach Harrell says, "We're both eligible. Can I get a hell yeah?"
And he said, yeah, it was ugly, but anytime you fight hard and get a win, it deserves a hell yeah. He said, hell yeah. But anyway, here's to another such celebration here 6 days from now. But for Kyle Barber, Matt Semenza, I'm Bubba Rosenbaum. You've been watching, listening to the Pirate Football Playback here on the Sports Objective. We'll talk to you soon. And as always, go Pirates.
You're watching the Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.